Welcome back, everybody. It's week 4, and we are going to get started with our walkthrough here in a second. Just as a couple of reminders, there are still a few assignments from Unit 1 that have not been submitted. It is always better to submit something, even if it's late. So if there's something that you did not do in week 1 or week 2 for that matter, please make sure that you get those in. We're starting week 3, not week 4. Sorry, my brain is running a week ahead, which is never a good sign. But anyway, we turned in for Unit 2. You had, of course, the discussion board, and you had a paragraph. For those of you who may not have seen it, I put a new helpful resource in terms of how to incorporate quoting into your writing, because that's something we're going to be doing pretty much going forward. So check that out. It's in the announcements. And let me go ahead and pull up the class. And this is the link, quotation time. This is the link to some additional information about quoting. Also note that I don't know for sure if they have fixed the links to the interactives. We'll look at it when we're in the walkthrough. But either way, I will also post a link to the correct interactive for Unit 3. Hopefully you noticed that. An additional announcement last week was that the interactives we have finally successfully gotten across to the school that they were not working. And so I don't know for sure if they're going to fix them within the course, because they sent faculty links to all of them for the rest of the term. But rather than put them all out at once, I thought it would be helpful if I put them out week by week. So we'll take a look when we walk through. But the ones for Unit 1 and Unit 2 are in the announcements, the announcement that's dated September 7th. But you, of course, have access to all the announcements all the time. So feel free to use that as well. All right. So as I mentioned, we are going into Unit 3, not Unit 4. I'm just running ahead. And we're talking about thesis statements, plagiarism, and citing sources. All super important things that we're going to have for really for the rest of our lives, but especially for the rest of ENG110. So let's take a look at your readings and resources, and we'll take a look at that activity and see if we have it. The first section is all about thesis statements, and I will tell you, if you struggle with thesis statements, you are not alone. I remember one time when I was in graduate school, so a graduate program in English, and our instructor had us all turn in our thesis statement before the paper, and almost none of us had what he considered to be a correct thesis statement. So it is not something that comes naturally, but it is something that we can get better and better at. So let me open this and see if it's working. So far, I'm worried because I'm seeing a blank page, which is what we've been seeing. So I'm going to make sure, I was going to make sure that I posted those anyway, but I will post the links to any of these activities that are not working. Although it looks like there's 3 of them this week. So I'll have to double check and make sure we have links to all of them. Avoiding plagiarism, of course, is very, very important. And that's what we're going to focus on in the discussion this week as well. So make sure you do your readings there. And let's take a look at these. Okay, white page. White page. Okay, I'm gonna jot this down just to make sure, since there are 3 of them, I want to make sure that I have links to all of them correctly. So let's see. They were using a thesis statement. And how to avoid plagiarism. I will say, while I'm jotting these down, one of the things that's really interesting that Post does, plagiarism is hard enough by itself, but we also have to be on the lookout for self-plagiarism, which you'll see in the activity there. One of the things that you should be very, very aware of is that when you turn in your papers to the database, and you saw last week and the week before how you have to check the little box that says, I agree to send my paper to this database. All of the papers that people turn in for post are kept in that database. And so if you end up having to retake a class, or if you end up taking a class down the road and you think, oh, that paper I wrote in English would be a great paper for this new assignment. You can't do that. It's called self-plagiarism, and it will get flagged. So if you end up using the same paper over again, you can potentially get in trouble for that. Now, sometimes it happens by accident. I had this happen just last semester. And as long as you let your instructor know what's going on with it, your instructor's probably going to be fine with it, but just you've got to be aware of it. A student had accidentally submitted their English paper in their psychology class. And so then when they went to at the same time, like in the same semester, same term. And so then when they went to turn the paper in for my class, it flagged it as 100% plagiarism because it had already been turned in that class, but it was turned in accidentally in that class. So like I said, as long as you let your instructors know what's going on, you're not going to have a problem, but don't try to reuse something that you've written before. Okay. So there's the extra lesson in self-plagiarism. So those are your readings and resources. And then in Unit 3, instead of a writing assignment, you have a discussion board as usual, and then you have your first, what's called a knowledge check. The knowledge check, of course, is a nice, pretty way of saying test. They are not high stress. They are 10 questions. They are all multiple choice or true false. Each is worth 10 points, but you can also take it multiple times. So if you don't score well on the first time and you want to retake it to keep your score, to improve your score, you're welcome to do that. I can't really show the knowledge check, so I will just show that how you get it started is that you click on the link and you click begin. So it's fairly self-explanatory, but just, so you know how to navigate it. But this week's discussion board is all about plagiarism, and we're going to be talking about plagiarism in the workplace, because a lot of times people think about plagiarism and it automatically means you cheated on a school assignment. And that is how we typically talk about it in the academic environment, but it is a real thing that happens in the real world as well. And so you're going to be talking about a scenario. You've been working for a fairly well-established investment firm for the last 4 months. You and a coworker were both assigned to write a report on the same startup business to determine if you should invest in it. Your coworker asked to see your report to verify some data. The next day, you and your coworker hand in the same report. So here's the questions to be thinking about. How would you feel, obviously, in this situation? How would you deal with this type of plagiarism in the workplace? And what actions should your boss take? So that's what you're going to think about as you post your own response. And then when you respond to others, remember, post your own response by Wednesday in order to get full points on that. And then you have until Sunday night to respond to others, to at least 2 of your fellow students. And in those responses, consider what other possible scenarios of plagiarism might come up in the workplace. Try to get a discussion going there. How important do you think considering plagiarism is in the workplace? So, as usual, due by Wednesday, follow-up replies by Sunday night. All right. So that's what we're doing this week. No writing assignment, little rest, and I'll be getting your feedback to you on those writing assignments and, of course, your previous discussion boards. Probably have both of those back to you by Wednesday, but kind of keep an eye out for that. Remember, once you see a grade pop up in the grade book, you can click on the title and that will show you all of the feedback that I gave you. I went over that in one of the earlier videos. So if you don't remember, go back and review those. All right. So I hope everybody has a great week 3, and I will be back with you on Monday of next week, but I'm sure I will talk to you in the meantime. If you need anything, please reach out. Everybody take care and have a great week 3.